My name is Jordan Ellis, and I am 31 years old. And 3 days ago, I walked into the executive conference room at Meridian Capital, where I used to work as an intern and where I was treated like furniture for 3 years, by a senior manager named Richard Harding, who once made me reorganize his supply closet for 2 hours because I brought him the wrong brand of coffee, and I walked into that conference room holding hands with the man I've been dating for 18 months, and Richard looked up from his laptop and said, "Can I help you?" And my fiancé, who Richard didn't recognize, because Richard had never bothered to learn who the CEO was, said, "Yes, actually, I'm Daniel Park. I'm taking over as CEO effective today, and this is my fiancé Jordan, and I need you to explain to me why she has a file on her phone with 47 documented incidents of workplace harassment that you subjected her to between 2018 and 2021. And Richard's face went white, and he said, "I don't know what you're talking about." And Daniel said, "Then I'll read you the first one, March 14th, 2018. Richard told me in front of 6 people that I was just an intern and I should go get his coffee and stop trying to participate in meetings. And Richard looked at me for the first time in 3 years, like he was actually seeing me. And I smiled and I said, "Hi, Richard, remember me?" And I watched him realize that the girl he spent years humiliating was about to dismantle his entire career. He didn't ruin my life, but he tried, and I didn't take his place. I just made sure he lost it, and I did it by documenting everything he did and waiting until I had the power to make sure he never did it to anyone else. And the best part is I didn't plan it. I didn't scheme. I just fell in love with someone who happened to be taking over the company where I used to be invisible. And when Daniel asked me why I left Meridian, I showed him the file, and he said, "Do you want me to handle this?" And I said yes, and he said, "Then I will," and 3 days ago he did. Let me take you back because this story starts in 2018 when I was 24 years old, and I was hired as a marketing intern at Meridian Capital, which was a mid-sized investment firm in downtown Seattle. And I was excited because it was my first real job out of college, and I thought if I worked hard, I could turn the internship into a full-time position, and for the first 2 weeks, I worked harder than I'd ever worked in my life. I stayed late, I volunteered for projects, I took notes in every meeting, and I thought I was doing well until I got assigned to Richard Harding's team. Richard was a senior portfolio manager, and he had been with Meridian for 12 years, and he had a reputation for being tough but effective. And people respected him, or at least they acted like they did, and I was told I'd learn a lot working under him. And the first day I met him, he looked at me and said, "You're the new intern." And I said, "Yes, I'm Jordan." And he said, "Great, I need you to get me a coffee, black no sugar from the place on 4th Avenue. And I said, "Okay," and I went and got it. And when I came back, he took one sip and said, "This is the wrong place." I said 4th Avenue, and he said I said the place on 4th, not the Starbucks, the other place, and I said I didn't know there was another place, and he said, "Well, now you do go get it again," and I went and got it again, and when I came back, he didn't say thank you, he just took it and went back to his computer, and that was day 1. For the next 3 years, Richard treated me like I was a servant, not an employee. He made me get his coffee. He made me pick up his dry cleaning. He made me organize his files and reorganize them and organize them again. And anytime I tried to contribute an idea in a meeting, he'd cut me off and say, "Jordan, you're an intern. Your job is to listen, not to talk." And if I pushed back even a little, he'd say, "Do you want to be here or not?" And I'd say yes. And he'd say, "Then do what I'm asking." And I did because I needed the job, and I thought, if I just proved myself, he'd eventually respect me, but he never did. He just kept finding new ways to remind me that I didn't matter. The worst part wasn't the coffee runs or the busy work. The worst part was the way he talked about me in front of other people, like I wasn't there. He'd say things like, "Don't mind Jordan, she's just here to take notes," or "Jordan's still learning how to use email properly," or my personal favorite, "Jordan's not really cut out for strategy work. She's more of a support role kind of person." And he'd say these things in meetings with clients and other managers, and I'd sit there with my face burning. And I'd smile, and I'd take notes, and I'd go home, and I'd cry, and I'd tell myself it would get better. But it didn't get better, it got worse. In year 2, Richard started giving me assignments that were designed to fail. He'd give me a project with incomplete information and a deadline that was impossible. And when I couldn't finish it, he'd call me into his office and say, "Jordan, I'm disappointed. I thought you were trying to prove yourself." And I'd say I didn't have the resources I needed. And he'd say, "Excuses don't impress me, results do." And then he'd give the project to someone else and take credit for it when it succeeded, and I started keeping a record, not because I planned to do anything with it, but because I needed proof that I wasn't crazy that this was actually happening. I started taking screenshots of emails where he'd contradict himself or assign me tasks that weren't part of my job description. I recorded dates and times of meetings where he belittled me in front of others. I saved text messages where he'd ask me to do personal errands that had nothing to do with work, and I kept all of it in a folder on my phone that I titled Evidence, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I just knew I needed to have it in case anyone ever asked why I was struggling. In year 3, I applied for a full-time position in the marketing department, and I thought I had a good chance because I'd been working there for almost 3 years, and I'd done good work on the projects Richard didn't sabotage, and I had a strong interview, and the hiring manager seemed impressed. But 2 days later, I got an email saying they decided to go with another candidate. And when I asked for feedback, the hiring manager said, "Off the record, your direct supervisor gave you a lukewarm reference, and we couldn't move forward without his support." And I knew immediately it was Richard, and I went to his office, and I said, "Did you tell them not to hire me?" And he said, "I told them the truth, which is that you're a competent intern, but you're not ready for a senior role." And I said, "I applied for an entry-level role." And he said, "Jordan, if you're not happy here, you're welcome to leave." And I stared at him, and I realized he wanted me to leave. He wanted me gone because I'd been there long enough to see how he treated people, and he didn't want me around as a witness. So I said, "Okay, Richard," and I walked out, and I quit that same day. I didn't have another job lined up. I just knew I couldn't stay there anymore. And I spent the next 2 months applying to everything I could find and working part-time at a coffee shop to pay rent and feeling like I'd wasted 3 years of my life. And then one Saturday afternoon, a man walked into the coffee shop where I was working, and he ordered a cappuccino. And when I handed it to him, he said, "This is the best cappuccino I've had in months." And I said, "Thanks." And he said, "Do you work here full-time?" And I said, "No, I'm between jobs." And he said, "What do you do?" And I said, "I used to work in marketing." And he said, "What happened?" And I don't know why, but I told him the truth. I said, "I worked for someone who made my life miserable, and I finally left." And he said, "Good for you." And he left me a $20 tip on a $5 coffee. And he came back the next Saturday and the Saturday after that. And eventually he asked me if I wanted to get dinner, and I said yes. His name was Daniel. And he was kind, and he listened when I talked. And he didn't make me feel small, and we dated for 6 months before he told me he was taking over as CEO at a company in Seattle. And he said, "I know this is a lot, but I want you to know because it's going to change my schedule." And I said, "Which company?" And he said, "Meridian Capital." And I went very slow. And he said, "I used to work there." And he said, "I know you mentioned it." And I said, "I didn't tell you which company." And he said, "You said it was an investment firm downtown, and there aren't that many. And I did some research, and I saw your name on an old internship roster, and I wanted to tell you, but I didn't know how." And I said, "Why are you taking over that company?" And he said, "Because they're merging with my firm, and I'm being brought in to restructure." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I don't know." We talked for 3 hours that night, and I told him everything about Richard, and I showed him the file, and he read through all of it. And when he was done, he said, "Jordan, this is harassment." And I said, "I know." And he said, "Do you want me to do something about it?" And I said, "Like what?" And he said, "Like make sure he's held accountable." And I said, "I don't want you to do this because of me." And he said, "I'm not doing it because of you. I'm doing it because this is unacceptable. And if he did this to you, he's done it to other people." and I have a responsibility to address it. And I said, okay, and he said, but I need your permission, and I said, you have it. 3 months later, Daniel officially started as CEO, and I came with him to the office on his first day, and we walked into the executive conference room where Richard and the other senior managers were waiting. And Richard didn't recognize me at first, because I looked different. I wasn't wearing intern clothes, I was wearing a dress that fit, and my hair was done, and I wasn't carrying a coffee tray. I was carrying myself, and when Daniel introduced me as his fiancée, Richard's face flickered, with recognition and then with fear. And Daniel said, I've been reviewing personnel files, and I want to address some concerns. And he pulled up the file I'd given him on the screen, and he said, this is a record of 47 incidents of workplace harassment committed by Richard Harding against a former employee, and I'd like Richard to explain why none of this was ever reported to HR. And Richard said, I don't know what this is. And Daniel said, it's documentation, and it's corroborated by other employees I've already spoken to. And Richard said, this is a misunderstanding. And Daniel said, no, Richard, this is a pattern and effective. Immediately, you're terminated. The room went silent. And Richard looked at me and said, you did this. And I said, no, Richard, you did this. I just wrote it down, and Daniel said, security will escort you out. And Richard stood up and said, you can't do this. And Daniel said, I already did. And Richard looked around the room for support, and no one met his eyes. And he walked out, and I sat down in the chair he'd just been sitting in, and Daniel said, does anyone else have concerns they'd like to raise? And no one said anything, and then the meeting continued. Richard tried to fight it. He hired a lawyer, and he threatened to sue, and Daniel's legal team sent him the file along with statements from 3 other former interns who came forward after they heard he'd been fired, and Richard dropped the case. And I heard later that he moved to a different city because no one in Seattle would hire him. And I didn't feel bad. I felt finished. Daniel and I got married 4 months later. And I didn't go back to Meridian. I started consulting for other firms, and I built a career on my own terms, but I still have the file on my phone. And sometimes I look at it, and I think about the version of me who sat in meetings and stayed quiet and let someone make her feel worthless, and I'm glad she started writing things down, because documentation isn't just evidence, it's power. And the moment you start keeping a record is the moment you stop being a victim and start being a witness. If you've ever worked for someone who made you feel invisible, if you've ever been told you're just an intern or just an assistant or just anything, I need you to know this. Your job title doesn't determine your value, and the people who try to make you small are usually the ones who are afraid you'll realize how big you actually are. And the best revenge isn't confrontation, it's documentation and patience and waiting until you're in a room where your voice actually matters, and then using it